most famous physical therapist on the internet.
Hi, folks. I'm Bob Schroep, physical therapist.
Brad Heineck, physical
We are
therapist.
the most famous physical therapists on the internet.
In our opinion, of course, Bob.
Today, we're going to talk about how to run so you can save your hip and knee joints long term.
Right.
Big issue with a lot of us. And I have a friend who actually, he's 60, he'd be 64, 65 right now. He's run his whole life.
Mhm.
And he's worried he's coming to the end because of his knee.
But
I just told him, for one thing, he's got to cut down. He was still running like 7 miles a day. I mean, he cut down to 3.
What's his running style?
Forefoot? I think he's forefoot.
Oh,
he's
okay.
a big biker too. So
Okay. All right. Well, we better
we're
get
gonna
to
get going. If
business.
you're new to our channel, please take a second to subscribe to us. We provide videos on how to stay healthy, fit, pain-free, and we upload every day. Go to bobandbrad.com and you'll find our giveaway section. We're always giving something away. Right now, we're giving away some TENS units. These are great for pain control.
Right.
So if you're for pain relief.
Without medication.
Without medication. You can also find it on Facebook, Bob and Brad. And if you want a shorter version of us, go to Twitter or Instagram. We got a 60-second version of our program.
There you go.
All right, Brad, take it away here.
All right. So, and I wanted to put this on the title too, but not only does changing your style from a heel striker, and I'm going to say it right now, to a forefoot runner, it reduces impact and stress on your low back, which is why I converted. Also for my knees and my hips as well.
And I would take it even further, Brad. I think even walking, you may try to convert from more of a heel striker to maybe a heel forefoot, striker at the same time.
Right. So let's clear up what we're actually talking about in case someone's not familiar. So here we have this nice turquoise bluish shoe thing that I just bought, and I don't really like the color, but I bought them for a reason, I'll tell you. So every time you walk or you run, a lot of people, and I might say most people, hit their heel strikes first, and then you roll to the forefoot and carry on to the next phase of your gait. So when the heel strikes, that goes into your calcaneus, which is a big bone, through your ankle joint, through your knee joint, the tibia up to the femur, to the hip, and to the back. So it's a bony
it's sending the force right back,
right through
the Jones,
which goes to the joints,
the
joints. However, if you land on your forefoot and the heel does not strike, what happens is your calf muscle, your quads, and your glutes accept that force and that shock. So you don't have the shock that you have when you heel strike.
Aren't taking the shot.
Right, the muscles are taking it versus the joints, which
muscles can take it.
Right, and if you want to learn more about this in detail, there's a couple books that we promote that we both read. One is Born to Run by Christopher McDougall. It's a book about ultra runners. They run 50, 100 miles, and they really need to.
Kind of an inspirational book, too.
It is. It's not real scientific, but it really has a lot of history of runners.
Kind of a cool book.
Yeah. The other book is Pose, P-O-S-E, and that is very scientific. It's written by a PhD, Dr. Nicholas Romanov. Yep. And he has a wealth of information and explanation of how to run more efficiently.
It's interesting. Brad and I came upon these two books separately. It's not like you didn't recommend it to me and I didn't recommend it to you. We just found out years later we both had read them.
Right.
So they are big in the running community. I think a lot of you probably read it.
So the other thing is they say the forefoot running is faster.
Right.
And I'm not sure about sprinting, but in regards to distance runners, which most adults, once you get out of high school or college, if you run, it's usually to release stress for exercise, cardiac, whatnot benefits.
I think you automatically, when you are sprinting, you become a forefoot runner. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure because I haven't.
And when you're slowing down, you automatically start hitting your heel. Like you're running fast and you're sprinting on your forefoot.
Yep.
And then when you want to slow down, what do? You start hitting your heel to put the brakes on. And that's one thing they talk about is that heel runners are you're almost putting the brake on every stride you take.
Right. And so if you are considering it, you want to save those joints in the back, the hips and knees, and you want to change, and you're a heel striker, you're not going to go out and change in a matter of a month.
Right.
It may take you up to a couple years. It took me 2 years before I can go out and run without thinking about forefoot striking, and it just happened.
Slow there.
Yeah, I am a little slow. It's just been that way. School was tough, Bob.
Yeah.
But anyways, from what I've just read another article,
You'll
and they
get
said
some
this-
improvement right away, though, I think. You know what I mean? Just by starting it.
right, and we're going to give you a few hints
Yeah.
on how to convert. So the
Sure.
first one is start with short distances, maybe a half mile to a mile. It depends. If you typically run 10 miles, 1 mile may be short for you.
Sure.
So start out short distances and a slower pace. You're not going to be running 6-minute miles if that's what that's pretty good for a lot of people.
Yeah. especially for our age.
Slow down to
Yeah.
at least 50% of what you normally run, shorter distances, and then you're going to want to shorten up your stride.
Yeah, and I think this was the most important thing for me. is
Right.
By shortening up your stride, it kind of forces you to start doing the forefoot.
So if you can look down here, Liz, if you're the heel striker, typically you reach out in front of your hips. If you look at the vertical line, you heel strike and you run through and your hips go over the top of your foot. Now, the desired way to be a forefoot striker is your foot hits the ground on your forefoot below your hips, not in front.
Yeah.
And so your stride is back here and you push off and the next foot lands here. And you're leaning forward a little bit. And actually, they describe it, you should feel like you're running downhill.
Yeah.
And I felt that exact same feeling when I started doing this. It's like, wow, I feel like I'm falling forward. So I knew I was doing it right. And you can feel when your forefoot hits versus your heel.
And just as a warning, I mean, my wife is experimenting with this right now, and your calves will get sore.
Oh, right.
Because
Expect it.
And that's why Brad mentioned that start with shorter distances is important, because you can actually get to the point where they get so sore you can't even run.
Oh, right.
I mean, you got to build up a tolerance.
It is typically DOMS or DOMS,
Right.
delayed onset muscle soreness. You may not feel sore until the next day or 2 days after that.
Right.
And you're going to say, oh my gosh, this is painful.
But stick with it, because just imagine all that force normally would have been going through your knee and hip.
Right.
And
Exactly.
that shows you right there.
Yep.
Should be kind of a convincer.
Right.
Yep. Convince you of it.
And what I would recommend is to, if you don't have someone at home that's going to massage your calves, is simply get a 6-inch roller right there, Bob. Can you grab it?
Sure.
There you go. Oops, sorry.
I was really good at that, Brad.
Yeah. And simply, you don't have to get the 3-foot one, but, and start rolling your calves. And we've got some nice videos on how to go through that.
There he's doing a single one there, but
massage those calves out.
yeah, you're going to want to stay ahead of it.
Yeah.
In fact, it wouldn't be the worst thing to massage it like the day after.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
you're going to, I would say daily with whatever you're going to use.
right.
And the other
I'm
thing.
sorry you had that on there.
Well, yes,
I
Bob.
didn't even realize that.
Well, you can't read my writing.
Yeah.
Cadence. The number, you're going to shorten your stride, but you're going to have more strides per minute. And they recommend approximately 180 strikes per minute. Now, I wouldn't worry about that too much right away, but once you get into it, and some people recommend on your cell phone, you can get a little metronome and get it to tick, 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 and then try to maintain. That's a good way to train.
And really, the better runners are doing higher cadence.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so if you're trying to improve your running, or you're trying to become a better runner, even if you're still competing in races,
right?
Yeah, that's absolutely recommended. You should want to increase the cadence.
And last but not least is what kind of footwear are you going to use? You're not going to use your traditional footwear that has a pretty heavy duty sole and a big cushion in the sole. You're going to use what they call a minimalist. And if you go to a running store and you ask for a minimalist shoe, they'll pull out umpteen dozen of them if you want them to.
Right.
This is mine. This actually has a pretty thick sole. It's thicker than I wanted, but the reason I bought it was not because of the color, not because of the sole, but because it fit so comfortably. I wasn't even going to put them on. I decided to, and they fit so good. It felt so good. I said, I have to have it. And I'm 4-foot running on it. I love them. I really do. This is
now a warning here. This is something we're going to have a video on in the future saying, are you ready for these or not? Because if you start with one of these, you might get really sore, and not be able to handle it. You might not have the flexibility to handle it.
They're pretty flexible. This one, like I said, is probably the heaviest minimalist categorized shoe that I've ever seen. But
Yeah,
like
you'd
I
want to
said.
work your way into a shoe like this.
Sure.
And that's where you talk about not starting off with a lot of mileage.
Right, because there's some range of motion and strength issues with your feet and ankle, and actually your great toe, the big toe, that you need to be aware of. That if it's too tight or too weak, you're really going to
Yeah,
struggle.
you could end up with plantar fasciitis. You could end up
Sure.
with a lot of calf
Right.
problems. I mean, so we're giving you the warning right here.
Right. There's 4 simple tests, and we're going to have that video out within the week or so.
Yep.
So
sounds
keep an
good.
eye on that one.
All right.
Wow.
Thanks everybody for watching.
Be careful when you're running.